Good evening, everybody. This is Darius Assemi, your host at GVWire Unfiltered. Welcome to another great episode coming to you live from our beautiful Fresno, California, with, by the way, fantastic weather. We have awesome special guest, returning special guest, CEO of the city of Fresno. I'm sorry, CEO, Chief Executive Officer of the Rite Paving. I'm going to ask him actually when he comes on if he actually directs City of Fresno what to do. I know he has a lot of contacts in the city. Occasionally tells them some things to do or not to do. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes. That's Brooke Ashjian. He's going to come to us. He's going to come on the show in a few minutes. Talk about all things tax, transportation tax, steering committee he's on, who tried to boot him off, how did he got back on? Is he back on the steering committee, or did he say one thing, exercising his right, his free speech right, criticizing some folks, and got booted off? We'll talk about that. By the way, that's happening to a lot of folks across the country, criticizing some other countries. You can get removed from some things. Okay, most of you that know what I'm talking about, they know what it's about. But anyhow, we're going to bring Brooke on here shortly, but let's dive into our beautiful weather. Fantastic 90s all the way through a week from yesterday. Low in the 60s. It was almost too cold this morning, but who says Fresno is not a beautiful place to live because of its weather? There it is. And today, total days at or above 100 so far this year, 6. So those folks that say we don't have climate change, there it is. Weather is getting cooler here in Fresno, California. Fresno Unified proposes to pay its former communications chief $162,000 in severance. Should she receive the 6-figure parting gift? That was a poll we did, and almost 81% of the respondents said no. She resigned after fabricating a hit piece and the teachers union at the teachers union. There's a typo there. 17% said yes. It's probably the best way to avoid an even more expensive lawsuit. There's multiple articles on GB Wire. Those of you that are interested in Fresno Unified, we have a Fresno Unified button on top of the webpage, and you can go in there. There's a lot of details around what happened with that, and really the question is, why do you have to pay a severance package? Susan Wittrup, one of the trustees, said that she will vote no if that comes in front of the board. And why do you have to pay somebody that much money in severance? Do they know something, or is that an opportunity to keep people quiet? We'll find out more as this unfolds. Should federal ICE and Border Patrol agents wear masks when conducting immigration raids? Over a simple majority said no. And there's now crimes being committed by folks kind of wearing a mask, impersonating ICE officers. So this creating issues across some parts of our country. United Kingdom, France, and 23 other nations condemn Israel over inhumane killing of civilians. A lot of civilians going to aid, running towards aid places to get food or water. You know, we have 2 million, close to 2 million Palestinians starving. Let's put up slide 10, please. It shows kind of where these folks. This is by ANERA, American Near East Refugee Aid. It's a nonprofit, U.S. nonprofit. Basically, the Palestinians are forced. I don't know exactly where, but in the southern tip, in the left-hand part of that strip, that 2.2 million people used to live, majority, or over 80% of that strip has been destroyed by Israel with direct U.S. military aid. and munitions. So a lot of folks starving to death. Let's put in slide 6 to a point where Israeli Jewish American historian Omer Bartov had a great piece in New York Times this weekend. He says, I'm a genocide scholar and I know when I see one. I encourage everybody to read that. It's very fascinating. Let's put up the next. And I'm quoting him from one of his articles. My inescapable conclusion has become that Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian people. Having grown up in a Zionist home, lived the first half of my life in Israel, served in the IDF, that's Israeli Defense Forces, as a soldier and officer, and spent most of my career searching and writing on war crimes and the Holocaust. This was a painful conclusion to reach and one that I resisted as long as I could. But I have been teaching classes on genocide for a quarter of a century. I can recognize one when I see one. End of quote by author and professor of Holocaust and Genocide Studies at Brown University, Omer Bartov, Israeli American historian. More on that. You can read his entire commentary on gbwire.com. World Health Organization says Israeli military attacked staff residents in Gaza. Of course, Israel, I think, attacked was it a church? Church in Gaza Strip. I think the only last remaining church in that part of the world. Slide 11, Palestinians gather as they carry aid supplies that entered Gaza through Israel amid a hunger crisis in Beit Lahia in the northern Gaza Strip on July 20th. Lots of articles from all kinds of news agencies all across the world. And of course, I want to put this up, which is really unfortunate. Slide 13. Defense Minister of Israel, Yoav Gallant, in October of 23. This was in the Times of Israel. He said, we are fighting against animals, not people. End of quote. Again, that's not my quote. That's according to Times of Israel, something that he had up. By the way, what do the 10 Commandments say of Prophet Moses? There they are. Now, Hamas has created a lot of issues for Palestinians, has terrorized Israelis. It's like an ant trying to terrorize a lion in terms of intelligence, military force, brute force, etc. But it's really what Hamas has done to the Palestinian people and not being able to come to some kind of a resolution with Israel over the decades-long occupation of Palestinians, at least in the Gaza Strip, by occupation meaning that nothing can go in and out of Gaza Strip unless it goes through Israeli checkpoints. U.S. to mediate Israeli-Syria meeting on Thursday, Axios reports. And then let's see if there's any questions. Let's move on to Epstein files. Leads U.S. House Republicans to start summer break in a day early. Lots of coverage on Epstein. You guys have read, those of you that are interested have read and seen it. A lot of GBWire coverage of that as well through New York Times and Reuters. Costco to set up global capability center in India to employ 1,000 people. And there's a poll that was put out. California voters say state is off course. Housing emerges as top concern. Let's put up 19. This poll was this is a UCI IOC poll. Okay. And then let's put up slide 20. California on the right track or on the wrong track. A lot of Republicans say no, we're on the wrong track, including independents, followed by Democrats. Should ICE agents wear masks? LA Mayor Bass says no. Border Patrol agents raid a Home Depot in Northern California. And then Department of Justice asked California sheriffs for names of inmates who aren't citizens. Not locally, is that correct, Bill?
So on that one, the Fresno County Sheriff's Office said they were reviewing the request. Madera County said they never received the request. There's been some speculation that even though the Trump administration said it was for California-wide, it's primarily or almost solely aimed at San Francisco and LA. Trump administration and those two cities' leaders have been at each other's throats for a long time. Clearly, this is a test of California's state law that's been in effect since 2018 that says, local sheriffs are not to really interact with ICE agents unless the ICE agents have an arrest warrant.
Got it. Thank you, Bill.
I also wanted to point out,
Yeah.
Darius, if you will, on that poll, what was interesting was that, you have all these people that say California is on the wrong track, and yet Governor Newsom's approval rating has rebounded quite a bit. It's up to 54%. So it's a real mixed message from voters. And the other thing is, look how much housing is on the minds of California residents. Funding priorities, 70%. It's above healthcare. It's above law enforcement and public safety. I don't think I've ever seen that in my lifetime. And this speaks again to Governor Newsom and our state lawmakers. They need to get their act together. And in needing to get the act together, they also are going to have to deploy Attorney General Rob Bonta to defend some of the moves they're making to make it easier to build housing in California, because the people that don't want housing, the elites, the extreme environmentalists, they're not going to go down easy. They're going to use the courts to stall this for as long as they can, just as they've been doing for the last 40 years.
Thank you, Bill, for that. Now, I'm going to say there's some issues on a state level on housing, but there's also a lot of issues locally. Each city has its own, not mandate, but its own approach to more bureaucracy, more difficulty in issuing permits, figuring out how to slow down or stop housing, or make it more complicated, more difficult to issue permits, issue occupancy, and it's known. Actually, it's not public. Although actually it is public, because I was at City Hall last week. City of Fresno is not the easiest place to do business. And I've shared this publicly, I've shared this with our mayor, and there's lots of opportunity to get more development in. By the way, developers look at how much competition is coming online every day, if not every day, every week. The fastest way to get more affordable housing up, affordable, not subsidized, but affordable housing to the middle class, is to increase supply. Something that we're very passionate about, but it's very difficult to get projects approved. Some of it is California environmental regs, the lawsuits against cities, both Clovis and Fresno, which you'll be hearing a lot more of in GBWire in the coming weeks and months. So cities have sometimes their hands cuffed by litigation from social justice and environmental groups. City of Clovis just went through one and is going to comply. Fresno has had many litigation lawsuits against their environmental approvals or assessments. Victor Martinez, the amount of red tape to build homes is crazy. That is very true. Cameloy, the church you mentioned is the only Catholic church in Palestine. When Pope Francis was alive, he called the church every day. Very sad that Israeli forces actually demolished that church. You know what? I actually have a question. I don't understand how Israel, well, it's a Jewish state, followers of Prophet Moses is not allowing aid. It's not stopping the starvation of close to 2 million Palestinians. I mean, these folks, if they're not going to starve to death, they're going to have all kinds of deformities. Their growth is stunted. I just think of how many people are going to be radicalized against the United States and Israel for what we are allowing to happen in that part of the world. It's very sad. A lot of folks are speaking out, from Tucker Carlson to Candace Owens to Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, about the grip on U.S. policymakers and parts of the media. Okay. No other comments. Madera County is doing housing right despite the state pushing environmental roadblocks. Jennifer Lopez, Jenny Garcia. Israel shouldn't have been allowed to occupy another's land. They need to go back to Germany. Okay. I mean, Israel is there. It's a state that's formed and recognized by the United Nations in 1948, but from the beginning, it's had issues with its neighbors and kicking Palestinians out of their homes and creating the first refugee camps by forcing Palestinians out of their homes and communities. A lot of folks killed. Palestinians not very organized, and then you have being ruled on the Gaza Strip by Hamas, a terrorist organization according to the United States, and terrorizing its own people. By the way, the protest inside Gaza against Hamas. When was that, Bill? A couple of months back. But I go to General Petraeus, 4-star general. At the beginning of this war, back in probably late 23 or early 24, he said, he was being interviewed. How do we go and find the Hamas folks? I mean, people don't say Hamas on their forehead. He said, listen, the same way we did with, we went after the bad guys in Iraq. We went in, met with community leaders and said, listen, we want to help you guys. We need your help. We're going to build churches, mosques, schools, hospitals, roads, infrastructure, but we want you to turn over, in this case, the evil Hamas over to us. So that's, I mean, in Iraq, it was Al-Qaeda and a few other ISIS members, etc. Here, it would be Hamas. And of course, not only did we not do that, we helped Israel basically blow up 80% of that strip. Record number of Americans say immigration is good for our country. Poll conducted June 2nd through 26th shows across all party lines support. 79% of Americans say immigration is good for the country. You can read the rest of it. We have a great article, a lot of great information. Public backing for stricter enforcement measures has declined. And President Donald Trump's immigration policies remain unpopular. Only 35% of Americans approve of his handling of the issue, with just 21% approving among Hispanic adults. Cameloy, City of Fresno has possibly lost Costco in Northwest Fresno due to a lawsuit. They tried to approve it. What will happen next? I hope we don't lose it to Madera. We're going to talk about that here actually next. Fresno Costco project killed by judge's decision. Great article. Take a look at it on GB Wire. So there's a couple of maps. Where is the Northwest Costco is going there. Okay, and where is the line? Where's the other map we have that shows the Madera County line? Can we put that up? Where is that at? If you don't have that, we need to, Paul, can you grab that map, please? And then we're going to put up a video by Council President Carbasi on this particular issue. Okay, I just got to note the map is in the video that we're going to play for you right now.
Hello to our unfiltered audience. This is your exclusive City Council report. I'm Fresno City Council President Mike Carbasi. We don't have a council meeting for the summer recess, but our next meeting will be August 14th on Thursday. So there's been one headline I know a lot of you have been commenting on, and that is the Costco that was supposed to be built at the northeast corner of Riverside and Herndon in Fresno. Very exciting project. It was a 4-year public process, 2 big council meetings, everything on the record, and we approved the project. Unfortunately, a group of environmentalists sued. They had kind of a shotgun approach and threw everything at this thing, and the court did find there were 2 areas primarily that they felt that we didn't meet. One was the greenhouse gas emissions and pollutants in the air. The other one was the zoning being inappropriate because there is a last mile warehouse on the site. It's not the biggest building. It's a small building next to it that will store goods. So if you want to buy something from Costco and have it delivered directly, they'd be able to do that in Fresno now, and more efficiently, especially in Northwest Fresno. Unfortunately, that's on hold. But I do want to say one thing. It's very frustrating when our democratic process is hijacked by groups that just don't like things don't work their way. And they may say they don't want to do this, but the reality is what they do makes it harder for you to survive as a working middle-class family in this community because they prevent housing from being built. They prevent good jobs and good shopping options from being built, all in the name of the environment. But the reality is they've taken CEQA, that's the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, which once had a good need, and they've used that to their means to be able to prevent any growth. And it's very unfortunate because it's not like we didn't make efforts to mitigate. We met with the public, we got buy-in from the community, and we approved it through a democratic process, and that's just been put on hold by these special interests. But don't despair. I will not stop fighting to ensure we have more jobs that stay in Fresno, because the last thing we want is for this Costco to jump the river, to go to Madera, or to go to Clovis or anywhere else. We need these jobs to stay and the tax revenue to stay in our community. So I'll be continuing to fight really hard for that. So I know it's kind of a somber report, but we shouldn't despair. There's a lot more work to be done. I'm going to continue to fight for more jobs and more affordable housing, for the market rate housing for consumers like you and me to be able to afford in our community. That's our job, to reduce your cost of living. And we're not going to let these activist environmentalists that want to take our democratic process hostage from prevailing in the end. We'll follow the law, but we're going to push hard for what's right. So thank you so much, and back to you, Darius.
Thank you, Mike, for that great report. Okay, so there's a map. Can you put the next one up? Okay, there you go. That's a more close up. So the Northwest Costco is basically going to be just on the south side of that red line next to 99. And there's a lot of folks in Madera are eyeing that Costco to get it to move up inside, just maybe a mile, maybe not even a mile north into Madera County, next to 99 or on 99. And so what will happen is now Madera County will be the beneficiary of all that sales tax revenue that was supposed to go to City of Fresno and Fresno County. Are those judges elected? They are appointed and then elected. I believe it's every 6 years, Inga. I believe it's elected, but once they're in office, they're almost never opposed by any other. They don't have any competition, basically. And I don't understand that. I don't know if it's just a hidden rule, but by and large, their elections go unopposed. Okay. Let's see them. Fresno Unified. No, we're going to skip that. Okay, let's jump to, we're going to bring in, by the way, before we bring in our special guest, Brooke, we're going to play our next video on what happened last week at Fresno City Council about the removal of Brooke Ashjian from this the Sales Tax Steering Committee. Let's play that brief video.
Why was Mr. Ashjian removed?
There were ground rules that were established when the steering committee was formed that are going to be reiterated today as the Transportation for All folks join. This is going to be the first meeting today where the new committee is combined, and those ground rules will be reestablished, but the ground rules state that among them that there should be, civil discourse among the committee members, and that there should be no open criticism of the process in the public.
You have to help me to understand something. So we get the city of Fresno that represents over 50% of the population in this city. We only get 3 of 36, and that is 8.3%. And now one of our members has been removed. And then you're telling me it's because he exercised his right to opinion and to be critical. It's ironic, though, because Transportation for All, a lot of their members often are very opinionated and critical, and they've criticized our process and been able to muscle their way into this.
The city of Fresno is free to appoint another member to the steering committee, and I would note that many of the steering committee members, both with Transportation for All and also on the existing committee, also live in Fresno. They may not have been appointed by the city, but they live in Fresno.
I hear you, but they're not vetted by the public, and I hear what you're saying. Now, I'm just one council member. Here's my appointment. Reappoint Brooke Ashjian. That's my appointment. That's my recommendation. He has First Amendment rights. I may disagree with the things that Transportation for All folks have said and done in the past, despite the damage to the public, but their right to voice their opinion, they're not breaking the law. They're following the law. Mr. Ashjian has a First Amendment right. We just had a debate today about one of our colleagues making statements. It's their right. For you to remove him from the committee for exercising his right, especially given his experience building freaking roads, I'm sorry, that's a big problem.
That was our council president, Mike Krabasi, talking about, this is last Thursday, by the way, on why, talking to Fresno COG Director Phipps on why Brooke Ashjian, who's on the steering committee, a lot of experience in this city, was on the Fresno Unified Board of Trustees, understands development, understands roads, understands traffic. He's, again, the CEO and the owner of Rite Paving. Why he was removed for some of the comments on civil discourse. So let me bring Brooke on. Brooke, you have a lot to say, but let me ask you this. They're saying that, is it true? Now, first of all, you were reinstated, but I want to ask you, before I ask you several other questions, what was it that you said that this group said, you know what, Brooke is just talking. He can't talk against some of the things we want to do. We're going to remove him. If you're going to speak against some of the things we got cooking, or you don't agree with everybody on the panel or on the steering committee, we're going to just remove him. Is that what happened?
Well, Darius, first of all, let me say that I'm really enjoying my life in the witness protection program in the city of Fresno.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did you say city of Fresno, or did you say, are we a Soviet Union? I'm sorry.
Okay. So I mean, I think that anybody that knows me knows that I don't even know the words to Kumbaya. I just don't know what those are, right? So, the Measure C committee. I mean, let's get into this. I think what's happened here is that in this political place that we're at, I think that we've lost the ability to have candor, authenticity, and strength. And most of our politicians don't have that. What I just saw Mike Carbasi had was all three of those. And it was impressive. I can tell you that, yeah, they did. Yes, they did. Send me an email. Robert Phipps, a director, called and said, thank you for your service, but we're done. I said, okay, can you send it to me in writing? He said, yeah. So he did. And it was, I mean, he was the messenger, obviously, of I think it was the mayor of Parlier, or whatever that person's name is, you know, who was the president of COG, said, you know, he's done. And Jerry heard about it after this debacle at the City of Fresno council meeting, and then Georgianne White, that, you know, I've known for 20 years, and I wouldn't fight Georgianne White in the dark alley. I just tell you right now, she's tough. I mean, she's super tough, and she came to my defense. And then the next thing I know is I'm getting a text message from Jerry from Maui. He was with his family. I don't know why he's texting me, and he says, "Hey, Brooke, listen, I got you. If you're out, we're out. You're my appointee. I put you there. I put you there to fight for Fresno. I put you there to fight for dollars and fight for percentages and represent the city of Fresno. And nobody's going to remove you besides me, and I'm not removing you." And
You know,
Jerry, you know, I got to tell you, he had a spine of steel.
can I say this? I'm so grateful for elected official, in this case Jerry Dyer, to have the backbone to not get pushed around, whether it's Fresno, and I can tell you, there's previous mayors going back 10 years plus, back in 2010, that wouldn't have the backbone. If Fresno Bee wrote an article about an appointment, which I know firsthand, and Fresno Bee didn't like that appointment, something went wrong slightly. That there's previous mayors that had no backbone. They cowered to, I mean, Fresno Bee. And I'm so glad that Jerry Dyer, who we know has a very strong backbone, stood up and says, he didn't say F no, I'm not going to say, actually pronounce the full word, but
he doesn't, I mean, he doesn't talk like that, but I will tell you that he unequivocally, and I saw him again this morning, you know, at the gym at 6:30 this morning. I'm riding the bike and he rides up next to me, and he's riding for a minute. And he says, "Brooke, again, I got you. You're my representative. Nobody's going to take you out. You're fighting for Fresno. Keep fighting." And so, and I will tell you that not only that, so, you know, Fresno's at like 1 degree of separation, and I know a lot of these guys that serve in these political offices, and listen, respect to anybody that serves, because it's not a pleasant position for them. A lot of times, it's not a pleasant position for their families. But I heard from, you know, Buddy Mendez calls me on the phone. "Hey, Brooke, we ride with you." Gary Bredefeld, "Hey, I ride for the brand."
what give the audience, what is it specifically that they didn't like about what you said?
Well, that's a great point. So here's the points that I'm bringing up. Measure C is a 1/2 cent sales tax. Okay. So everybody in the county, every city in the county contributes. So when you have Fresno that has 550,000 people, we contribute more than, say, Parlier, which has 14,000 people, or Mendota, which has 16,000 people, right? So our position is, we're more heavily traveled. We want more money. We want the lion's share. And Parlier and these other companies, these other towns are saying, well, we need more money too. But what they forgot and then don't understand is that they can't do it without Fresno. If Fresno says we're out, they get nothing. Right? So it's twofold here. One, they're there to fight for their city, and God bless them, and respect to them for doing that. But when they put on 12 very liberal people, that they cannot tell you what, none of those mayors can tell you where those 12 people live, where they reside. So what if 8 of them are in Mendota? Does that mean Fresno got 3 and Mendota got 8 or 9? Or what if they're in Fowler? Or what if they're in Parlier? We don't know where they came from. They came from all over the place to represent who? Who are they representing? Because I represent Fresno. I'm fighting for Fresno. So I can tell you what they did, or what I think, what I'm alleging they're doing is, 1, they're fighting for dollars for the small towns. But 2, they put 12 on there to change the ratios. The ratios, Darius, of how much for roads, how much for buses, how much for trails, how much for mass transit, because without their 12, they can't change the ratios because every other municipality only got 1 person, whereas Fresno got 3. So Jerry's looking at it, in my mind, Jerry's looking at it and said, you know, we get 3, they get 12. Yes, did he vote to put those people on there? He did, because Jerry's not afraid of free speech. Let it be said. But I'll tell you what he is not going to do is let them stack the deck. And what they tried to do is stack the deck. So I spoke out against it and said, 100% no, not going to happen. We need way more money for roads. You know, if anybody listening to this will go to MEASUREC2026.com, you can go on there and build your own road and see what it looks like. You can see it's like 80% of the people that we've polled said roads. So why isn't 80% of the money going to roads? And that's really what the fight is about. How much power is this 12 people going to get, and where's the money going to go? Because let me tell you what a possible scenario could be. I'm not saying this is the scenario, because, you know, I mean, like I said, I really want to come out of witness protection someday, but here's what could happen. Let's just say, for giggles, just between us guys, that Measure C doesn't pass. And let's just say that Fresno City says, well, we'd like to have a half-cent sales tax. And so it's tax neutral. If this half-cent goes away and this half-cent from City of Fresno comes on, guess what happens, Darius? Fresno gets to keep the entire half-cent. We don't share with anybody.
And
we don't share with anybody.
Isn't that, the mayor has talked about that? Is that in the works, by the way?
You know, I don't know behind the scenes. I've heard a lot of stirrings from it. I haven't seen anybody put up money for it. I haven't seen any of these things. Ideally, ideally, we'd like to see a rising tide float all ships. Okay, but when you have, in my opinion, 2 smaller town mayors trying to flex on Jerry Dyer. Have you seen Jerry Dyer at the gym? Did anybody do their homework and see this guy? He's benching like 700 pounds or something. I don't even know what he's benching. Okay. I mean, the only guy I know that can bench more than him is Bill McEwen. Let's just be honest. That's the only guy I know. Right. And so you're not going to come in and flex against Jerry Dyer. He's going to be cordial. He's going to be nice. But I'll tell you what he's not going to do is he's not going to leave Fresno behind. And when they dismiss me, or tried to dismiss me, then Jerry's back got stiff. Carbassi's back got stiff. Tyler Maxwell came out swinging. I've never met Tyler Maxwell, and he came out swinging. And awesome. The city of Fresno backed their own people, and respect to them.
Okay, so and you don't know what those 12 folks want. Do they want to put 80% of the money in roads and potholes and congestion relief? Or I'm just looking at your article. Let's see. Dyer on Ash. Expanded committee met last week. Committee members. Do Measure C members live in the city they represent? And then you have an alternate transportation initiative.
Right. I can tell you what they don't want.
Yeah, what do they not want?
What they don't want is what we gave them last time in 2022 that they voted down, and those numbers were pretty good. They were actually very, very good. So they don't want those,
Okay. So,
right? So you can't tell me that they want to up those numbers, because that would be your basis, right? That's the starting point, and they didn't want that. So what do they want? They probably want more or less than those numbers. I mean, I think if we were betting people, we would say that's probably where we're at.
okay. Now we did invite, I want to make sure the audience knows that we did invite both Alma Beltran, Mayor of Parlier, Fresno COG Policy Board Chair, and also Victor Martinez, Mayor Mendota, and they declined to appear on this show
Well,
with Brooke.
And here's the thing: they were very public and other places, and said to this mayor of is it Parlier? Is it Mayor of Parlier? Is that where she's at?
Yeah, Alma
Mayor-
Beltran, Mayor
I
of
mean, oh, there she is. Yeah. So she was very, very verbal to, on a keyboard, but I've never talked to her. She's never called me and said, Brooke, well, what are you thinking? I've never met her, and I have no ill towards her, but I think the phone rings. If there was a problem, there was no warning shot. There was nothing. And so they said, we're going to follow these rules, right? They were going to follow the rules. What about the rules of attendance? They didn't follow those rules. They didn't kick people off the committee. So they came after the guy that speaks his mind. And I don't really care. They can come for me. That's fine. They can come for me. And they saw what happened.
There is a comment from a Victor M. Martinez. I don't know if that's the mayor of Mendota on the show. It says, once again, talking just to talk. Brooke. I don't know if that's
Well, if that's him, somebody send him a link. He's welcome.
yes. No, we have invited Mr. Martinez.
Yeah, come on. The water's warm. Come on in.
Okay. I hope
this is. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody's seen more of this than Bill. Bill, weigh in on this.
Yeah,
is this how the sausage gets made?
Bill actually has a comment on this, and he's going to give us some probably great history. But we did invite both Alma Beltran and Victor Martinez to a point. Can I say this? One of the beautiful things with America is we can debate issues and disagree and not lose our friendship. Come back and vote the next day or 5 minutes later. Why so many of us immigrate? I'm an immigrant from the Middle East to this country because we can debate, disagree, talk about it, and that's what makes us stronger.
I mean, Darius, how many times have me and you gone nose to nose disagreeing on a subject and then hugged it out and went and ate lunch?
Yes, exactly. Many times.
That's what it's about.
That's right.
We can't be scared of debate in this country. We can't be scared to differ in opinion. Hey,
that's right.
If Mayor Martinez, if that is him, come on. The water's warm. We don't bite.
Okay. Before I bring Bill on, let's see, Parlier and Mendota have the population the size of Cherry Auction. Who cares what they think? That's John Richmond. Chris Dowdy, it shows something when someone chats instead of participating in a debate. Victor, if you were invited, it's a weak sauce. Look for you not to be on the screen. Victor Martinez, speak the truth and everything will be good, my friend. If that is Victor Martinez, I'm not sure. Okay, Bill, let's bring Mr. McEwen on. I think we can take that image off. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't want to give a long history lesson, but yeah, I've covered basically Measure C since its inception, and I can tell you it's worked great for Fresno County for 40 years. It's my belief that it doesn't need a lot of major surgery. And yeah, people are going to debate this, and the numbers will change a little bit, but it doesn't need radical surgery is my position on this and my observation. The other thing I want to say is everything's in place. We've had it for 40 years. So With Measure C, it's not like we'll be starting from scratch like we did after the parks tax passed, right? We're still experiencing those growing pains with the tax, with the parks tax, and people are saying, you got 80 million in the bank. Why aren't things being done faster? It's because they're having to learn the process and roll it out. Another big thing to me is we're in a new era in California thanks to judicial rulings. To me, going forward, all of these ballot initiatives, if you want it passed, you should shoot for 50% plus one. And the way you do that is with the signature drive. I think even if this committee agrees on everything and ends up being united 6 months from now or whatever, they should not be trying for 2/3 approval. In our divided society, you could have the perfect ballot proposal. It might not pass. 50% plus one is the way to go. So in my best case scenario, one ballot proposal, 50% plus one. If there ends up being 2 or 3 of these on the ballot, then I say, hey, the best one win. And I want to close with this. If we don't pass this, we can say goodbye to state and federal funding for roads, for highways. We'll even lose some of that funding for mass transit and bus service. I haven't heard people talk yet, but if Measure C fails, never mind increasing the bus percentage, if Measure C fails, our bus system takes a big hit. And there are groups of people, especially students, poorer families, they rely on the bus system. And if they had reduced service, that would be a big blow to them. The other thing, just in wrapping up, is Washington and Sacramento pay attention. We are what's called a self-help county. We were one of the first in California to become one. And that has benefited us. We have taxed ourselves $2 billion over these 40 years. And because of that, we've gotten $8 billion in state and federal grants. So nobody is happy with the roads, the bus service. They'd like more money spent on air pollution reduction. I would say that's the job of the federal and state government, because we already fund a lot of that ourselves. People forget we pay extra car registration to clean our air because we live here in the valley, which is badly polluted. It's not like we're not already doing things. But Washington and Sacramento, they help the counties that help themselves. If we were to lose this, it would be a huge blow. No one's happy with the roads now. Imagine if 4 times the amount of money we spend goes away. And so I would say it would behoove everybody to debate this, fight it out, but in the end, respect what you put together and get behind that, even if you don't agree with it 100%. That's just my take.
It's never going to be perfect. If they give a little and you think you got a bad deal and they think they got a bad deal, that's called a good bill, right? That's just the way it works. And that's the way it works in politics. Some people aren't comfortable being uncomfortable. And unfortunately, I think that this is one of them. But make no mistake about it, Bill McEwen is 100% right. What these people, the transportation for all, are gambling on is, if they lose, they're all in on this. If they lose, that means that these buses could go away. That means that the transit for the veterans and the elderly people could go away. We have to have Measure C, or a form or fashion of it. But there has to be a sales tax for roads, because all the other things are connected with it. Like just exactly what Bill said. The transportation, the vouchers for veterans, all of the trails that come with it, the roads that are getting fixed, the interchanges, the federal matching funds that he said. We put up 2 billion, we got 10. And what are these people fighting about? Well, give me 12 people on this committee so we can change the numbers, and then nobody wins.
So let me jump in here. There's a lot of cities that actually rely on Measure C for their fog seal or pavement repair. So there's a lot of programs that go away, and Bill is correct, and so is Brooke, that our federal funds and state funds become matching funds. So they want to make sure that the local folks are interested enough in a project, are putting up their own money before they match those dollars. A lot of great projects, 180, 168, Veterans Boulevard, built with a lot of federal dollars. And if we did not have our own local tax dollars, transportation tax dollars, we would not be able to get any of those projects built, or it would take substantially longer to raise our money from other avenues. Let me now, I've said this on this program many times, and at some point in the next few months, I'm going to launch this a lot more publicly. Measure C, in my mind, needs to address several items. It's got to take care of potholes to some extent. It's got to take care of congestion relief. If the measure will not have adequate dollars, and I don't know what that looks like right now, for congestion relief, I'm going to oppose it. I'm going to spend dollars opposing it. I don't want to see the traffic on 41 and 168 and that you see from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. and from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. A lot of accidents happen.
I think we need a Ashjian, a Simi toll lane that we pay for and charge people $3 a day.
Well, that could be one option, but we need a solution. And state of California doesn't want capacity enhancement, so we can call it a toll lane. We can call it a high occupancy vehicle lane. By the way, I recommended this to Mayor Swearingen back in 2013, 2014. You want to have a bus rapid transit? Let's put a 4th lane on 41 and have places for this bus to stop in North Fresno or Mid Fresno, and where it ends in downtown Fresno. Uses a 4th lane on 41. You want to cut down congestion on 41, reduce greenhouse gases, get people out of their cars, which was a big driver at the time. That's where you put the 4th lane and put a bus rapid transit. Unfortunately, it requires a lot more money. I don't know what the cost of a 4th lane on 41 is. Probably several $100 million. But it needs to have a 4th lane, and it sounds like Brooke wants to team up, and we'll figure out a way to put the 4th lane. There's many folks that I've talked to. They go, "Hey, I'll pay a couple of bucks in the morning to get on the 4th lane." And have to bypass all that to get to downtown.
But look at it this way too. Our traffic is nowhere near LA or San Francisco or San Jose. We're not even close. I understand it.
And we don't want it to get. Here's the thing.
I'm with you.
20 or a 30 year. First, let me ask you.
And let me say this before you say something. Hang on. And to make sure that people understand this, that we do not and will not cut out our brothers, which are out in the county. We're not trying to do that. In fact, I don't know anybody that are my close personal friends that, and I'm not going to try to embarrass you, Darius, but I'm going to embarrass you. I don't know anybody that's put up more money to help poor people than you. We're not here trying to hurt people. We're not here trying to take money from other people. But my job on this committee, just to be safe and sure, is I'm fighting for Fresno. That's my job.
No, and you're fighting for the city of Fresno. So let me just and we got to wrap up in a couple of minutes. We don't want, again, I don't know if this is the new one is that the existing one ends in 27 was a 20-year tax. The new one, I'm not sure if it's a 20 or a 30-year tax. I guess it's being cooked right now. But these are long-term half-cent sales tax. I don't want to get 10 years down the road and go, oh my gosh, we cannot drive on anywhere on 41, we are San Jose and we have become LA. I don't know if the future, and I shared this with COG. We want somebody much smarter than majority of us to go, the future of transportation in the valley is going to be as follows. Is it autonomous cars? Is it autonomous taxis? Is it cars that are going to be driving 1 foot away from one another? I don't know, but somebody needs to model this to say, here's what the future looks like, and here's where you should invest dollars in. The technology has changed rapidly over the last few years. There's a lot of smart folks with a lot of smart technology and modeling. We need that. Yes, we need pothole repair. We talked about this last week. SB1, 10 cents, 12 cents sales tax. I'm sorry, gas tax just to go to pothole repair. Brooke said the governor took the money, and I want to actually for him to. Do you know what happened to that money, Brooke? What happened to that money?
I can only guess. I mean, look where they found $20 billion and $10 billion and $30 billion. That just magically appeared. I don't think so. You're taking it from one pot from another, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
the same stuff they did. How do you think this? I mean, let me digress for 1 second. How did the schools get all this money? Because we kicked people out of prisons. We took it from the prisons. Jerry Brown said, kick them out of prison because it's costing us X, and educate the young kids so that they don't go to prison. That's how the schools got all this money, and they still can't read or write.
90%, 80% of Fresno Unified. Okay, Bill McEwen. Bill?
Yeah, I just want to raise one thing, not to bore you to death, but from a policy and strategy standpoint, economic policy for our area of the valley, like the Inland Empire, has been, we need to create jobs, we need to reduce unemployment. We went full throttle after distribution centers, such as Amazon and Ultra and the like. And we have legislation that we have to protect every year in which we get significant sales tax dollars on those products that may be ordered by someone in Massachusetts, but it comes through Fresno. Actually, ordered by someone in San Francisco and it comes through Fresno. That has empowered our sales tax greatly since these distribution centers came online, and they help Measure C. So if you're voting against Measure C, you're kind of undermining our own economic policy that we put in place and continued. And I haven't heard a single person associated with Measure C, any of them, mention this fact, but it's another thing for voters to consider. Not only would you be voting against Measure C extension, better roads, and the like, you'd be voting against the very policy that has enabled and benefited our city for quite a while. I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, good points, Bill. The devil is in the details. You vote, Measure C becomes all about other items besides transportation. You're going to get a lot of money, like you said. What was that Senate bill that one of our friends in the California legislature introduced, but that failed? I think the governor ultimately vetoed it. This was 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So a lot of money stays here locally, but we want to make sure it goes to transportation dollars. Or you know what? Change the title. It's going to be another half-cent sales tax to go to these other programs. Let me get to a few comments and then we're going to wrap up. Haas Toasty, disabled veterans rely on the bus system to get services at Fresno VA. Jenny Garcia, John Richmond, seems you don't like the Latinx people. Okay, Chris Dowdy, if the poor rely on the bus system, with my daily travels and viewing empty buses, then we don't have very many poor people here. John Richmond, 95% of Hispanics don't prefer using woke terms like Latinx, and I was born in Chile. Okay. Haas Toasty, the world grows when men plant trees, the shade of which they will not enjoy from an unknown person. Voting for a bad plan because of no plan is worse, is not a great strategy. I actually agree with John. I'm going to, if Measure C doesn't have the right components, I'm going to vote no, and I'm going to actually support efforts and probably put up dollars myself. We need congestion relief. We do need connectivity to other communities in the county. We need some money for pothole relief, and there's probably a bunch of other smaller programs, maybe a dozen or more.
Well, Darius, how are you going to? I mean,
Hold on, that need to be addressed. But if it doesn't have pothole relief and congestion relief, we're going to be in trouble. Last comment, and then I'm going to get to Brooke. John Richmond's steering committee will fold to the radicals. The board of supervisors will vote it down, and then the measure is toast. Mr. Ashton, you have the floor.
what that last guy's name was what?
John Richmond.
Okay, first of all, we don't fold, we don't break. That's just the way it works. Okay, that I don't even have reverse in my car. Okay, we don't back up. Okay, let's just be clear about that. But if you want, and if you're talking about congestion relief, then right now is when Darius Assimi should be talking to out loud to as many people as he possibly can, including and not limited to the steering committee people, saying, you guys are putting this thing together right now. I want road congestion relief right now. And then you start leaning on people. Why do you think those 12 people are there? Why do you think they're there? Because they have an agenda. They have an agenda. I'm just telling you that whatever their agenda is, good, bad, or indifferent, it's not the same as 2022. So if you want congestion relief, you better speak up. And we're not going to get there by a mayor in Mendota that's scared to come on GV Wire and just talk with some of the boys over coffee.
Well, the next time there's a steering committee, you're going to ping me, and I will be glad to email everybody. And is it? Can you get on Zoom? And
you can Zoom it. I believe you can Zoom it, but I don't think you can. It's not a public meeting, so I don't know that you can speak to it. But they have the people there that are on the committee. And let me just tell you something. They're all very nice, cordial people. The ones at the original group, I haven't met the other ones, but they're all cordial, very nice people, and they're open to discussion. And we talk to each other, and there's not a problem. Kendall Flint, that runs the program, I mean, at first I'm going to tell you she's a little scattered, but she's, I mean. But that's my own opinion, right? But here's the thing. You're trying to organize 24 or 26 people, and then they dump another dozen on you? How do you organize 36 people? Have you never been to a classroom before? That's why these poor teachers are saying, can I get down to 18 kids to where I can at least do some teaching here? It's not going to happen. So she's trying to herd cats. God bless her. But we have our marching orders to get this thing done, and we have to hammer out the details of how much goes outside the county, how much goes to the outer cities, how much stays here, and what percentage goes to the roads, right? What is going to be the roads? Gary Bretterfield called me and he said, Brooke, I walked 23,000 homes. The number one thing that people said is, are you going to fix my pothole? The number one. And that's North Fresno. And North Fresno voted down in 2022.
That's right.
Measure C. Yeah. They don't want to vote it down, but they are Darius Assimi. They don't want a bad one either.
Cam Malloy's got a question for you. When will the plan for Measure C, which the committee and the board of supervisors then approves, be finalized? I guess the sausage is being made right now. Is that correct?
It is. I want to say it's going to be somewhere around November, December, somewhere in there. The dates are on their website. You can go to their website and look. Okay. It's 2026 measurec.com. And there's comments there that you can put in. There's people there that you can email to. There's a list there of people that are serving. And hey, bend people's ear. If you want a U-turn on Washawn Avenue, then you better bend somebody's ear.
Yeah.
That's how it gets done.
Caroline Wang, in recent years, many high-income individuals and tech companies such as Tesla and Oracle have chosen to move to low-tax states like Texas and Florida, partly because of the heavy tax burden in California.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Okay.
I mean, Darius would leave. I would leave if I could. My grandkids are here.
And my dogs are here. And my family is here. And my family being my staff, which I'm very, very connected and supportive of. Okay. I think that was it. Final comments. We'll start with Mr. McEwen, and then Mr. Ashton will get the final word before I wrap up.
So just a message to Measure C committee members, keep your eyes on the prize.
Thank you, Bill. Brooke?
Well, I think that that candor, authenticity, strength. That's the currency that we need to carry this across the finish line. And you saw it this week in 3 very public people, 4 actually. First and foremost, Jerry Dyer, Mike Carbasi. The guy's strength is surprised the hell out of me. Tyler Maxwell came on strong. And again, Georgianne White, I would not fight in a dark alley. These people showed absolute strength under fire. Thank you.
Great points. And finally, on my end, I'm excited to hear that and we've known this about Mayor Dyer. He's got a strong backbone. I haven't always agreed with him, and I can tell you I've had many disagreements with Georgianne White, but we're not going to discuss the details here. But I'm really excited that Mayor Dyer stood behind his appointment and his appointee to a committee. And I can tell you, previous mayors going back to 2010 did not. They didn't have the backbone. They got pushed around by the Fresno Beast, especially in what year was it? 2010? Yeah, the mayor at the time. Anyhow, and let me say this to one Measure C steering committee member that can take the message back, and I hope that more Measure C folks are listening. If we don't have enough congestion relief and pothole repair, by the way, I love bicycles, I love bicycle lanes, and I would support a cycle track system that connects city of Fresno, Clovis, and as far as it can go. I support dollars for that. Cycle track, which is off the regular pavement behind curb. But if the components are not there, I will not support Measure C, and I will put dollars against the current Measure C. And it sounds like Brooke Ashjian is going to be joining me from deep inside the committee. Okay. On that note, thanks everybody for watching. Enjoy a fantastic, cool week, and see you all next Tuesday. And thank you, Mr. Ashton, for returning, and hope to see you. It sounds like you're going to be coming on frequently because this thing is not going away for a while.
I'm happy to come on anytime.
And where are you skiing? Where are you skiing at right now?
in my living room.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.